my recent vid about Robocop 2, I talked about the disappearance of both Katso and Gillette, who were part of Kane's crew. And surprisingly, the mysteries don't end there, because there was another member that was part of Kane's crew who was in the movie, but excluded throughout most of the movie. This character goes by the name Checkers, played by Richard Hancock. You know how Gillette was like Katso's right-hand man? Well, Checkers was like Gillette's right-hand man. And novel adaptations of movies tend to include scenes and dialogue that was cut from the movie, since the writer is given the screenplay of the film to make a novel out of it. And the novelization of Robocop 2 includes a good amount of dialogue for the members of Kane's crew. Checkers does get an introduction, but he only appears in one part of the story. In the novel, he appears in the factory scene where they dismantle Robocop. This is how Checkers was meant to be introduced in the story. Robo emitted a primal howl as sparks showered out from the stump of his wrist. The hand, still clutching its pistol, skidded around the floor in front of him. Angie smiled at Robo. "Bullseye," she declared. Robo whirled as a young friend of Hobbs, a dour-faced lad named Checkers, leaped from behind Angie, holding a weapon of a sort Robo had never seen before. "Howdy doody," said Checkers by way of greeting before firing the weapon. A large metal ball attached to a wire slammed into Robo's chest and exploded, driving 3 razor-sharp prongs into his chest. Robocop staggered backward. "Time to reel him in," Checkers declared. He worked the control on his weapon. Shards of electricity surged forth from a battery hooked on Checkers' belt down the wire to Robo. Robocop tilted his head back like a guillotine victim. His tongue extended from his mouth and he howled like a banshee. His body jerked like a crippled dancer as the electric shards invaded his innermost being. Kane slid slowly down from the scaffolds above, tipping his hat toward the maniac metallic cop. Kane took a disinterested view of the situation. "Is he lunch yet?" he asked Checkers. "Nope," Checkers replied, still cranking out power. Hobb hopped down from above, advancing on Robo's jerking body with a non-committal look. Robo dropped to one knee, his body still convulsing. He glanced upward at the faces of Kane, Hobb, Angie, anger welling up from within him. Emitting a fierce guttural howl, he mustered up all his willpower and unhooked the prongs from his chest. Glaring at the 3 villains, he plunged the prongs into his wire-laden, still sparking stump of an arm. He grinned at the trio like a madman. The prongs shorted in Robo's half arm, sending a wave of electrical voltage back down the wire. The battery at Checkers' hips immediately exploded, sending Checkers spiraling upward, his body smoldering around the midsection by the sheer power of the voltage. Kane nodded toward the shadows. Robocop regained his footing, growling like a beast. As he did so, the hook of a titanic iron crane crashed into his chest, sending Robo cartwheeling across the debris-strewn factory floor. Robocop twisted his clouded head, slamming into his Robo-vision full tilt. A large magnet was being lowered his way. White spots flickered and flared before his eyes, along with a discouraging readout: systems damage alert, efficiency 43%, 37%, 20%. Robocop blanked out as the titanic magnet connected to his chest. Robo was lifted from the floor by the magnetic force as the metallic beast drew him into its grasp with a resounding clank. The magnet lifted the inert Robocop high into the air. In the cab of the gigantic crane, the gorilla henchman Katso guided the magnet home. Kane walked cheerfully alongside the magnet as it hoisted Robo toward the destinations unknown. Kane paused to help Checkers to his feet. "Are you alright?" "Yeah," Checkers nodded. "I have a bad stomachache though. Shithead cop. Doesn't play fair." "Cops never do, lad," Kane replied. Checkers nodded and limped away. Kane glared at Robo as the magnet lowered him onto steel runners. Checkers, Angie, and a thug named Gillette pulled heavy metal clamps across Robo's body, pinning his arms and legs effectively down on the runners. The magnet spiraled harmlessly away into the sky. Now, what happens next is what you see in the movie, but apparently this is the last time we hear from Checkers in the novel, and he's not mentioned in the one spot where we do see him in the movie. As you can see, Angie ended up being the one to use the electrical weapon against Robocop. So originally Checkers was meant to be the one to pull this off, and Angie was only meant to be like the distraction that would lead Robocop to the trap. But something must have happened on set because this was meant to be a unique intro to Checkers. The actor Richard Hancock was the movie's stunt coordinator, as said on his IMDb page. However, the movie credits do not have him listed as the stunt coordinator, and they did not include the name Checkers on the credits either. That's why I'm like, something must have happened on set because this guy was the stunt coordinator and a character in the movie, but they didn't include him in the end credits for either roles. And that's a little odd considering the fact that he is seen in the movie, but you probably never realized it. Here's the scene he's in.
This is a nuke for every mood. We'll offer our customers the opportunity to control every aspect of their emotional lives. You know, with the white noise, the black thunder, red ramrod, and the blue velvet. Frank, the blue velvet. I think it's ready, sir. Thank you, Frank.
This is actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie. We have Kane explaining how he's going to expand on his product, creating new types of nuke with different colors like Raspberry Red, Blueberry Blast, but giving them really cool names like Red Ramrod and Blue Velvet. Look at the back. Who finally shows up? Behind Kane is Hob, behind Hob is Katso, behind Katso is Gillette, and behind Gillette is Checkers. And the crazy thing about this is that even though Katso, Gillette, and Checkers aren't given any dialogue here, they show expressions of how anxious they are about moving forward with the nuke business. In the novel, Katso is actually given plenty of dialogue here because even though they didn't show it, Kane had a beer company in progress as a cover to keep the police from suspicions. It's possible that they did shoot those scenes because Katso is then delighted to hear that the beer business was just a cover and not the direction they were leaning towards. And you can see how excited he is here to hear their plans with distributing more nuke. But again, you get enlightened reactions from Katso, Gillette, and Checkers, and at one point, both Gillette and Checkers do that forearm bro bump that some anime characters do. So yeah, these guys have little to no dialogue in the final cut of the film, but you can tell that they had a lot of character, which is why I found Kane's crew to be interesting. And like Katso and Gillette, the last we see of Checkers is when the three of them prepare to face off against the police raid. Nothing is said about Checkers in the novel afterwards, and it appears that it was forgotten in both the screenplay and the end credits of the flick. Unless something went on off screen that only the cast and crew and Richard Hancock would know about. That's it for the video. Special thanks to my patrons. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you want to see some more weekly content, then hop over to my Patreon where I post exclusive content, exclusive vids, updates on current projects, and the latest artwork based on the comics I've been working on. You can also show your support by getting a hold of the channel merch. Yeah. I also opened up a new Twitter account to post artwork and memes, so there's that. Anyways, I'll see you all next time, and remember to have an awesome day.